Hey guys, welcome to today's video, and today we're going to insulate the van. The products we're going to use today are a combination of a glass type insulation, so like a pink bat or an earth wall or something like that, and we're also going to be using a trusty PIR board again. That is going to be used in part of the walls and on the roof of the van. We've used this product before when we did the floor. You can check that video out here. So let's get stuck into it. Right, so to insulate the walls, what we're going to start off doing is in these pieces here where you can have window cutouts, we're going to use 50mm PIR board. That'll be stuck on using stick pins, and then up the top here we're just going to fill that with a sort of glass insulation. And down the bottom here we'll do the same, but then what we'll do with the bottom is we'll put the wooden panels that go in here back on, just as a way of helping, keep all the insulation in place. And then we'll go over the whole lot with a foil-backed moisture barrier, and that'll go through the ceiling as well. What we're going to do in the ceiling is that's going to be 25mm PIR board. That's just going to go between the ribs here. Once again, stick pins holding the whole thing up, and then a lining of the foil-backed liner again. So relatively straightforward, just time consuming, so let's get into it. So for cutting PIR board, you've really got three methods. You've got your trusty handsaw, which works for most thicknesses. I'd recommend something like this, like a tenon saw, not something like a saw that you'd use for cutting framing timber. You want something that has a really fine blade so it's not going to rip the foil paper. Your next option is a jigsaw, once again with a fine blade. However, a jigsaw only works up to certain thicknesses, so the 50mm that we're cutting today, it's too big, too small for that. So what we're going to use instead is our trusty table saw, once again with a fine blade. Make sure you're wearing the appropriate safety gear when you're doing this. Safety glasses, earmuffs. Just watch out. Table saws are really dangerous. If you've never used one before, you might want to get some training before you do so. So with that said and done, let's get into it and start cutting up. Now the nice thing with this green stuff insulation is that it is polyester, it's not a fiberglass based insulation. So the good thing about that is it's non-irritant. So I mean, you can sit here and go like this all day until the cows come home. You're not going to end up with little bits of glass stuck in your arms or whatnot. The other benefit is if you or your children have asthma, this is the stuff to have because it doesn't have that small glass fibres. They're going to float around your van even after you've put this stuff in. So this is a really great alternative and just as warm as the glass fibre. Right, so this is what about probably 15-20 minutes worth of work looks like. Made a reasonable dent. I've only just started on the top. These bits here are really difficult, and yeah, that hole is not a lot to try and get a big piece of insulation through when it can come all the way out to here and all the way out to here. So And you could cut it small and do it in 2 lots, but yeah, that's something that I found quite difficult. I haven't done the other side yet because I wanted to point out that the thickness here that you've got in the gap, I don't know if you can really see it that well up here, as you go down the van, that gets thinner and thinner and thinner. So when you get right to the back here, you go from having sort of about yay much to about yay much. That's something I didn't know that I've just found out, so I'm having to have a think about what I'm going to do here, whether I can cut the thickness of the insulation down. I might have to do that. It's going to be a pain in the backside, but hey, this stuff's, you know, we learn as we go. The reason I'm doing these videos is so that you guys can see this isn't all just a walk in the park and glamorous. You know, this is makes you think about what you need to do. The other thing is I haven't done the bottom yet because I wanted to remind everyone that these little fellas down here leak when it rains. So if you haven't sealed them up already, I would do so. I've got a link you can look up here. And there's a button on the top right hand corner showing your screen now that you can click on that just goes through the process of doing that. Then we're going to put the PIR board on these panels. So will be the insulation up this backlight material up the top here, PIR panels, and then the backlight stuff down the bottom again. With the bottom we'll put the trim that we had that came with the van back on. That'll hold it all in, because as you can see up the top here it's sticking out a bit. Not a problem, because once we put the moisture barrier on, that'll all go on, you know, that'll sit nicely behind that anyway, and then we'll be battening out and then putting the wall linings on. So this sticking out here isn't going to be a large concern. The bats that I've used up the top there are R3.2, that's New Zealand standard. I don't know what the international standard is. Now the other areas of the van that need doing are these small pockets up the top here. You've got various options. You can basically just make yourself a template if you don't have the lining that that came with the van. I don't. For some reason with this van, only the bottom was lined and not the top. So I don't know what the reasoning behind that was. So the options here are liner. There is a place on eBay that sells pockets that clip in, so you've got a bit more storage space up here if you want. They also sell liners as well. There's brackets in there that you can have speakers in there if you really want. The bottom of the doors, they need doing as well, so we'll pull those door cards off, and the same with the sliding door. Now this is a right hand drive van, so a lot of you are probably going, hang on, the sliding door's on the wrong side. The door is on the opposite side of the steering wheel, so if you're in America, left hand drive, your sliding door's going to be on this side. If you're a right hand drive van, you are on this side. So up the top, insulation, we've got a template for that. We'll go through that in another video on how to make templates for these parts of the trim. So we'll put some insulation up there. I had a thought about some lights, I'm not sure on that yet. This here is going to be cut out. There's going to be a window put in there, so there's no PIR board to go in the sliding door. And then the bottom trim will come off, and we'll put some insulation in there as well. Right, time to carry on. So when you're insulating the walls of your van, you want to make sure you get as much done as possible. So these parts along here, they are actually hollow, so don't just insulate down here and up here. You need to do in these as well. You can get to them through in the back here. So what I've done is just, you've got a full length of the stuff and just cut it nice and thin like that. So it's about the width of there, it'll squish down a wee bit. You can actually push it in all the way along and then stuff in this edge here and then get it all the way in to back along here. It's important you do these parts. It is a bit of a pain in the backside, but it's really important that you do them because it's just going to help keep your van warm in winter or cool in summer. basically, as you've just seen there, what I've done is I've put it in here, stuffed it as much this way as possible, got the tail end in, and then just put it along. So basically it's all bunched up along here, got the tail end in, and pulled it all along, even it all out. So next we've got this small channel here to do. You've only got these holes along here to get the insulation in. It's not too difficult, so let's show you how it's done. Alright, so you can see that wasn't too difficult. Probably isn't, you know, filling up the whole cavity. It is filling up a good amount though. You could probably try doing different thicknesses, see how you go. I'd say once you've got one piece in, you're going to have a lot of difficulty trying to get a second piece in. So either start with something really thick and work your way down. Is probably the best advice I can give there. But yep, I'm really happy with that, and it didn't take too long.